Have you ever wondered if God is giving you signs to end your marriage? Life, as we know it, is a complex tapestry of experiences, emotions, and decisions. One of the most significant decisions we often grapple with is the question of staying in or ending a marriage. The journey of marriage is like navigating a ship in the vast ocean. Sometimes the waters are calm, and at other times the waves are high and turbulent. It's a voyage that requires commitment, patience, and most importantly, guidance. This guidance can sometimes come from unexpected quarters, like divine intervention. You may feel like you're receiving signs from a higher power, nudging you towards a decision. But how do you discern these signs? How do you know if these are truly divine signs or just your own inner turmoil reflecting back at you? The dilemma is real and it's deeply personal. It tugs at the very core of our being, challenging our beliefs, our emotions, and our resilience. But remember, seeking guidance in such situations is not a sign of weakness. Rather, it's a testament to your strength. It shows your willingness to understand, to grow, and to make the best decision for your well-being and the well-being of those around you. In this journey of discernment, you are not alone. We're here to explore this topic with you, to delve into the nuances, and to provide you with a perspective that may help you navigate your own unique situation. This exploration is not about advocating for ending marriages, but about understanding the signs that might be guiding you towards making a decision. So, are you ready to embark on this journey of understanding and introspection? We invite you to join us as we delve into a topic that's often shrouded in confusion and uncertainty. In this video, we'll reveal the 7 signs that might indicate God is guiding you towards ending your marriage. The first sign is persistent unhappiness. Imagine a cloud that's constantly over your head, a weight that just never seems to lift. Unhappiness that's not tied to a specific event or circumstance, but seems to permeate every aspect of your life, including your marriage. It's not about the everyday grumbles or the occasional quarrels. Every relationship has those, but when those moments of discontent become the norm rather than the exception, it's time to pay attention. Let's consider some examples. Perhaps you find yourself constantly feeling unfulfilled or dissatisfied, even when things seem to be going well. Maybe you've stopped looking forward to spending time with your partner, or you dread coming home at the end of the day. You might feel like you're constantly walking on eggshells, or you're always waiting for the other shoe to drop. These feelings can be subtle, creeping up on you slowly over time. You might write them off as just a phase, or tell yourself that it's normal to feel this way in a long-term relationship. But persistent unhappiness is not a sign of a healthy, thriving marriage. It's a red flag that something is wrong. Remember, it's not about having a perfect relationship. No such thing exists. It's about having a relationship where you feel valued, loved, and content more often than not. Marriage is a partnership, a journey that 2 people undertake together. It's about growing and evolving together, about facing life's challenges side by side. But if your journey is filled with more sorrow than joy, more frustration than fulfillment, it might be a sign that something needs to change. If you find yourself persistently unhappy, it might be a sign that something needs to change. The second sign is a lack of growth. In the journey of life, growth is not just an option, it's a necessity. It's a vital part of our existence. And this principle holds true in marriages as well. When you tie the knot, you're not just committing to love and cherish each other. You're also committing to grow together, both personally and spiritually. Imagine your relationship as a garden. The seeds of love, respect, and understanding have been sown. But if you don't water those seeds, if you don't nurture them with the sunshine of mutual respect and shared experiences, they won't sprout, they won't grow. And eventually, the garden that once held so much promise will wither away. In the same vein, a stagnant relationship is a clear sign that something might be amiss. But how do you identify stagnation in a relationship? It's when you feel like you're stuck in a rut. It's when you feel like you're just going through the motions with no real progress or development. It's when your conversations are more about routine than revelation. It's when you don't feel excited about your future together, when you're not looking forward to what's next. Remember, growth is not just about achieving milestones or reaching certain benchmarks. It's about evolving as individuals and as a couple. It's about learning from each other and from your shared experiences. It's about becoming better versions of yourselves. But if you don't see this happening in your marriage, if you feel like you're not growing together, if you feel like you're not evolving as individuals or as a couple, then it might be time to take a step back. It might be time to reflect, to introspect, to ask yourself if this is what you want from your marriage. When growth is no longer present in your marriage, it might be time to reevaluate. It's not an easy decision to make, and it's not a decision that should be made lightly, but sometimes it's the decision that needs to be made for the sake of your own growth and for the sake of your own happiness. The third sign is recurring toxic patterns. Now, what does that mean? Imagine being in a car that keeps breaking down. You fix it, but the same issue pops up again and again and again. The problem isn't just about the car anymore, is it? It's about the pattern. In a relationship, toxic patterns can take many forms. They might be constant arguments about the same issues with neither party willing to budge. They could be an inability to communicate effectively, leading to misunderstandings and hurt feelings. They might be a lack of respect, where one person constantly belittles or undermines the other. Or they might be a cycle of abuse, whether it's physical, emotional, or psychological. These patterns are like a whirlpool sucking the life and joy out of a relationship. They create a cycle of hurt and resentment that can be incredibly difficult to break. And just like that broken down car, they signal that something is fundamentally wrong. The key thing to remember is that everyone has arguments and disagreements. That's normal. But when these issues become a recurring pattern, it's a sign that something deeper is at play. It could be a lack of compatibility, an inability to compromise, or unresolved personal issues. The real problem arises when these patterns are persistent and don't seem to change, no matter how much you try. It's like being stuck in a maze with no way out. This is when you need to take a step back and ask yourself, is this what a healthy, loving relationship should look like? Remember, God wants us to live in peace and harmony, not in a constant state of conflict and strife. He wants us to grow and flourish, not to be stuck in a toxic cycle that drains our energy and joy. Toxic patterns that persist are not healthy and might be a sign that something needs to give. It's a tough realization, but sometimes the most loving thing you can do for both yourself and your partner is to acknowledge these patterns and make the necessary changes, even if that means ending the relationship. The fourth sign is a loss of shared values. Imagine a bridge, sturdy and strong, connecting two lands separated by a vast river. This bridge symbolizes the shared values in a marriage. It's these shared values that often serve as the foundation for building a life together, the safe passage that connects two individuals and enables them to journey through life's ups and downs. But what happens when this bridge starts to crumble? Shared values are the invisible threads that weave two lives together. They are the shared beliefs and principles that guide decisions, shape behavior, and define what's important in life and in a marriage. They are the compass that guides a couple in the same direction. When these shared values are lost or begin to shift, the compass needle starts to waver, and the journey together can become misdirected. Whether it's about how to raise children, financial goals, or the importance of honesty and trust, shared values are what often hold a marriage together. They are the common ground that helps a couple navigate through disagreements and conflicts. But when these shared values are lost, it's like losing the common language that once helped you understand each other. A shift in values doesn't necessarily mean one person is right and the other is wrong. It can simply mean that you're no longer aligned in your paths. The shared vision that once existed for the future may become clouded, and the sense of unity may start to fade. It's important to remember that people change, and so do their values. This is a natural part of human growth and development. However, when the values of one person change drastically and the other person's values remain the same, it can create a divide that can be hard to bridge. It's like trying to cross a river without a bridge, a task not impossible, but definitely challenging. A loss of shared values can create a divide in a marriage that might be hard to bridge. And so, it's crucial to continually communicate and reassess shared values to ensure you're both still walking on the same path. The fifth sign is a lack of intimacy. Intimacy, it's the lifeblood of a thriving marriage. It's more than just physical closeness or romantic moments. It's about truly knowing and being known by your partner, sharing dreams, fears, and the mundane moments in between. It's about feeling safe to be your authentic self and receiving the same vulnerability in return. When intimacy starts to dwindle in a marriage, it's like a plant deprived of water. The leaves start to wilt, the color fades, and unless action is taken, it may eventually wither away. This is not to say that intimacy levels will always be high. There are natural ebbs and flows, especially during stressful periods or significant life changes. But when the decrease becomes significant or intimacy is absent altogether, it's worth paying attention to. Sometimes the lack of intimacy is due to external factors such as work stress or health issues, but other times it's a symptom of deeper issues. Perhaps there's unresolved conflict or unexpressed feelings. Maybe one or both partners are withholding intimacy as a form of punishment or protection. Or perhaps the love that once brought you together has changed or faded. It's important to remember that intimacy is not just about quantity, but quality. It's not just about how often you are physically close, but how emotionally connected you feel. Are your conversations mostly surface level? Or do you delve into deeper topics? Do you feel understood and appreciated by your partner? Do you feel like you're on the same team? A marriage without intimacy can feel lonely and disconnected, which might be a sign that change is needed. It's like living with a roommate rather than a life partner. But remember, recognizing the problem is the first step towards resolution. Whether the solution is seeking professional help, having open and honest conversations, or making the difficult decision to part ways, it's important to address the issue rather than ignoring it. Because everyone deserves to be in a relationship where they feel deeply seen, understood, and loved. A marriage without intimacy can feel lonely and disconnected, which might be a sign that change is needed. The sixth sign is exhausted reconciliation efforts. Marriage is often likened to a dance. It's a delicate balance of give and take, of understanding and compromise. But what happens when the dance feels more like a tug of war, with both partners pulling in different directions? This is where exhausted reconciliation efforts come into the picture. You may find yourself in a situation where you've tried everything. You've had countless discussions, sought counsel from trusted advisors, or even engaged in professional therapy. Yet, despite your best efforts, you find that the same issues keep rearing their ugly heads. It's like being stuck on a treadmill, running and running, but never making any forward progress. It's important to understand that reconciliation isn't a one-time event. It's a process, a journey of rebuilding trust and love. However, this journey can be exhausting, especially when it feels like you're the only one making an effort. It's like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in it. No matter how much water you pour in, it just keeps draining out. This continuous cycle of trying to reconcile without any tangible progress can be incredibly draining, both emotionally and physically. The constant tension, the sleepless nights, the feeling of walking on eggshells, it all takes a toll on your well-being. And yet you keep trying, fueled by the hope that maybe, just maybe, things will change. But hope can only take you so far. There comes a point when you need to ask yourself, is this really worth it? If you've reached the stage where you feel like you've exhausted all avenues of reconciliation, it might be a sign that it's time to step back and reassess the situation. It's not about giving up, but rather about acknowledging that something isn't working. When all efforts to reconcile have been exhausted without success, it might be a sign that it's time to move on. The seventh and final sign is finding inner peace with the decision to end the marriage. Inner peace. It's a concept often associated with meditation, spirituality, and personal contentment. But in the context of a marriage that's been fraught with persistent unhappiness, lack of growth, toxic patterns, loss of shared values, lack of intimacy, and exhausted reconciliation efforts, it takes on a whole new meaning. Inner peace is not about accepting defeat. It's about acknowledging that you have done everything in your power to make the relationship work. It's about understanding that moving on does not equate to failure. It's about recognizing that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is to let go. Feeling at peace with the decision to end a marriage can be a sign, a sign that you're ready to close one chapter and open another. A sign that you're prepared to embark on the journey of healing and self-discovery. A sign that you're ready to embrace change, even if it's scary and uncertain. This peace doesn't come overnight. It's a process that requires self-reflection, prayer, and often the guidance of professionals. It's a journey of coming to terms with the reality of your situation and finding solace in the decision that's best for your mental and emotional well-being. But when you reach that point of inner peace, it can feel like a weight has been lifted. It can bring clarity and perspective, allowing you to see the way forward with a newfound sense of hope and resilience. It's about finding the courage to prioritize yourself, your happiness, and your future. So if you're feeling at peace with the decision to end your marriage, it might be a sign that you're ready, a sign that it's time, a sign that despite the pain and the heartache, you are strong enough to move on and brave enough to start anew. Finding peace with the decision to end your marriage might be the final sign that it's time to move forward. These signs are not definitive answers, but guidance to help you in your decision-making. We've journeyed together through these 7 signs that might indicate it's time to reconsider the path of your marriage. Recalling them, we've discussed persistent unhappiness, a stagnation and lack of growth, recurring toxic patterns, a loss of shared values, an unsettling lack of intimacy, efforts at reconciliation that seem to have exhausted themselves, and finally, a sense of inner peace with the possibility of ending the marriage. Each of these signs is a beacon, a light in the fog of decision-making. They aren't directives, but they can help illuminate your path as you navigate the challenging terrain of marital difficulties. Remember, it's okay to feel unsure. It's okay to feel scared. It's okay to feel conflicted. These are all natural reactions to what is undoubtedly a life-altering decision. The road ahead may seem daunting, but you don't have to walk it alone. As you reflect on these signs and your own experiences, remember that there are professionals who can provide guidance and support. Therapists, counselors, pastors, and trusted friends can all be invaluable resources as you make this journey. And let's not forget the power of prayer. As you contemplate these signs, it's crucial to take time to connect with your faith, to seek guidance from a higher power. There's a serenity that comes from knowing you're not alone in your struggles, that there's a force greater than yourself guiding your steps. As we conclude, it's worth noting that everyone's journey is unique. What works for one person may not work for another. What feels right for you might not feel right for someone else. And that's perfectly okay. The most important thing is to make the decision that's right for you and your well-being. If you found this video useful, please leave a comment below and share your experience of being married or having thoughts of marriage. We're here to support each other in our journeys.